Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the board meeting. What an exciting night. We're all here, and there's so much excitement. As board members, we also came in a little bit late because we were enjoying a reception with the retirees. So thank you all for being here this evening and being at the May 23rd, 2023 Board of Education meeting for Arlington Heights School District 25. I call the meeting to order, and Lana, if you could please call the roll.
Neerman,
Here.
Scapalato,
Here.
Jogi,
Here.
Cerniglia,
Here.
Michael.
Here. It doesn't work. There we go. Here.
Okay, thank you, Lana. If we could please stand, if you're able, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
You are right. I pledge allegiance to the
Okay, the first item on the agenda today is just a lot of recognitions and a lot of happy things going on at the board meeting, which we love. And the Board of Education is always pleased to recognize our students, our staff, and community members who help make District 25 the great place it is for our community. Tonight, we will recognize the Science Olympiad teams from South and Thomas Middle School for their success in competition this year. So Dr. Biden, would you please introduce our coaches?
Thank you. Good evening. We'd like to first thank our coaches. If you are here, if you would please stand. Sean Marusik. Kirsten Calderon. Lynn DeSalvo. Hannah Zimmerman, and Allison Buck from South Middle School. Also coaches, Kim Malinowski, Jim Grant, Mark Hosen, Soraya Peshek, Sabrina Argaz, Tina Wilson, Cindy House, Maureen McDermott, Carolyn Taylor, and Caitlin Fakes from Thomas Middle School. Coaches, before I proceed, is there anything you wanted to say? You're good with me moving on? You're good? Okay. Obviously, it takes many coaches for two very successful Science Olympiad teams, many parents, because we have a very large team in District 25 at both of our middle schools. We want to thank all of you for supporting our kids. Board members, you might hear some metal hitting each other. Anybody got metal hitting each other out there? That's the sound. That's the sound of champion Science Olympiad teams. That's the sound of teamwork, intelligence, collaboration, curiosity, a lot of hard work, a lot of hours, days, evenings, and weekends, and a lot of adults surrounding them for support. So congratulations to all of you. And at this time, Dr. Jogi and I are going to step up front. We're going to call your name. If you're here, if you'd please come forward. The board has a small token of appreciation for all of your hard work. From South Middle School, I'm going to do my best to pronounce your names the best I can, because that is important. From South Middle School, Vivan Bhattacharjee. Vivan. Also, Tyler Clark. Come on up if you're here. Dr. Jogi has something for you. Cameron Davis. Ethan Douglas. Xavier Dunn. Andrew Elsner. Amira Fatina. Emma Grzuski. Gretchen Heckard. Elliot Heiber. Zlata Kavartsiana. Henry LeBeau. Jacob Lee. Maura McGregor. Boyd Pinney. Violet Polly. Devin Ramirez. Matthew Russo. Dylan Smith. Ryan Sohn. Tyler Strauss. William Thanopoulos. Nuha Karashi. Congratulations to our South Middle School Science Olympiad team. Afterwards? And from Thomas Middle School, Vishnu Adiga. Adi Bilfaki. Colton Bing. Nathan Catlett. Nyan Chilikapati. Emily Colton. Abigail Foster. Sydney Gala. Anya Hong. Varun Joshi. Michelle Kim. Ketis Malaku. Ryan Morgan. Maura Murray. Ahir Naveen. Harshita Patel. Parth Pitkar. Abhi Sarathia. Luca Terabrin. Nathaniel Thomas. Gavin Wakefield. Eleanor Williams. Congratulations to our Thomas Middle School Science Olympiad team. Now we'd like to invite all of our Science Olympiad and all of their coaches who are present to join Mr. Harris up front for a large group picture. Parents, you are welcome to come up and take pictures of the full group as well.
Good job to the Science Olympiad team. That was a lot of bling. Definitely lots of bling for you guys. I'm going to say real quickly, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting, where we're going to be recognizing and acknowledging and celebrating our retirees. But Science Olympiad team members, you are also welcome to go and enjoy the good weather. So thank you for coming. We can tell that the Science Olympiad team, the reason why they have so much bling and so many medals is not only they're super hardworking and smart, but they're also very good at following directions. So they are all gone, and I'm glad they have a good, healthy balance of fun and academics. So I'm glad they're going out into the weather. But on behalf of the Board of Education, I am really so excited for this next portion of welcoming and acknowledging our retirees this evening. And it was so great for us as a board to meet all the families that are here today. So welcome to all of you and friends and our very, very, very special retirees today. So what's going to happen today is school principals and administrators will share a few words about each individual as we thank them for their service to the Arlington Heights community. I only have one rule today, okay, for all of us, including Lori and all of us here, board members, that we're not going to cry today, okay? Yeah, there's no crying today, and this is definitely not a goodbye. So let us start this great part of our board meeting.
Thank you. So Dr. Jogi and I will again come up front. We'll call the administrator from the department or the school up, and then they will introduce their retirees.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for enjoying our treats out there. It was nice to see everyone here. So typically when you think about our school district personnel, you think of our wonderful teachers and support staff in the offices and in the classrooms. However, we all know there's special people behind the scenes that give a tremendous amount of effort to make the school experience here for the students a wonderful one. Sharon Lialios is one of those special people that we are honoring this evening, as she has been behind the scenes preparing meals for our students for over 11 years. Sharon was an extremely dependable employee and very organized. I don't know many people that know how to organize to cook for almost 1,000 kids a day. She provided meals and cooked sometimes single-handedly for all the students here at Thomas, as well as the 4 elementary schools on the north side of town. Her attention to detail and organization did not go unnoticed as she worked hard to prepare hundreds of meals daily to help support students' learning. Sharon was an integral part of our team, and I am so personally thankful for her dedication to help mentor those around her before she left. We are so appreciative of your time here, Sharon, with the district, and we wish you all the best in your retirement. Come on up. And then we have one other retiree that was not able to be here with us this evening. Her name is Christine Mitchell. Anybody that's worked at Windsor has probably met her along the way. So she was with us for 9 years. So thank you very much.
I'm not doing this alone. Bernie, Ellen, and Anisha, I make no promises on the tears. This is one of my least favorite nights because I have to accept that this is actually happening. So we'll start with Ellen. Ellen, thank you for your dedication to Arlington Heights School District 25 and Greenbrier Elementary School. Ellen has changed the lives of many of our students by teaching and supporting our students with speech-language disabilities. She's a strong advocate for students and works diligently to find ways to help students grow. Your ability to connect with students and families is a true testament to your knowledge, skills, and character. You are a great team leader and a perpetual child advocate. Your thoroughness, attention to detail, and depth of knowledge will leave a great void at Greenbrier. Your support for students, families, and staff will have a positive impact on the lives for years to come. Thank you for your 24 years of service. We will miss you, but wish you a happy retirement. Yeah, please. Thank you. Bernie, thank you for your dedication to teaching children for 30 years. When I think about what makes a great first grade teacher, I think about you. You have the ability to be warm and fuzzy and hold your students accountable all at the same time. When visitors leave your room, they share with me that they wish that you had been their first grade teacher. And this is not parents, this is dedicated educators, experienced educators coming out of your room wanting to have been your student. They also wish that they could just stay longer because it's so much fun. You have been a supportive colleague and a tremendous team leader. Thank you for all that you have taught the children, parents, and staff at Greenbrier, but especially me. As a new principal, you told me what I needed to hear, and I cannot thank you enough. I would not be here still without you. Bernie, we wish you all the best on your retirement. She taught for 30 years, first grade, in the same room.
If anybody needs any teacher stuff, just stop on by.
Bernie, we will miss you tremendously. I have asked Brian, she will not sub, but we hope you'll come and visit.
Good evening. I also am not doing this by myself. So Mrs. Brinkman and Mrs. Mueller, will you please join me? I am honored to have the opportunity to recognize two individuals who have made a tremendous impact on the students, staff, and families of Olive Mary Stitt. Starting with Mrs. Brinkman. Mrs. Brinkman began her career in District 25 as a teaching assistant at Ivy Hill in 1991. At the end of that year, a letter of recommendation stated that Kim's strength of character, teaching expertise, professionalism, and hard work would make her an excellent teacher and a strong candidate for any position. Luckily for District 25, Kim remained in the district and over the past 33 years has taught kindergarten, first, fifth, and literacy intervention at Dryden, Greenbrier, and Olive Mary Stitt. As we wish her well, I want to leave Kim with these words written by former principal Mary Beth Anderson. A visit to Kim's classroom reveals numerous examples of students on fire with their own learning because she teaches them the skills needed to be strategic learners and models these behaviors constantly to her class. Kim, you have touched the lives of countless students and have encouraged the love of reading not only in your students, but in your colleagues too. You will be missed by all of us. Congratulations on your retirement. Okay. and Mrs. Linda Mueller. Not many people can say that they taught in the elementary school they attended as a child, but Mrs. Linda Mueller can. Linda's family moved into the Olive neighborhood when she was in 3rd grade. When she obtained her teaching certificate, she returned to District 25 to begin substitute teaching and was quickly hired as a reading assistant. In her 29 years, Linda taught 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th grades and pioneered teaching in multi-age classrooms. While the majority of her years were at OMS, she did venture over to Greenbrier for a few years to see what life was like as a Gator. As we wish you well, I would like to leave you with words written by Mary Stitt. Linda has a happy, positive personality and is highly committed to her career in education. She has a strong set of values and beliefs that make her an excellent role model for children. Linda operates at a high energy level. If you know Linda, you know that her energy level hasn't changed in 29 years, and it is an energy that we will miss at the nest. Congratulations on your retirement.
Good evening, everyone. We have 3 special people to present tonight: Leslie Greenberg, Sophie Vassos, and Jim Zimmerman. Please join me up here. Come on up. You get to stand up there and be recognized. I'm not going to be here by myself. Oh, come on up. All right, here we go. Buckle up. All right, I'd like to start with Leslie has been a loyal and dedicated District 25 employee for 23 years as a teacher assistant. She has spent 22 years as a South Cardinal. Leslie works closely to support our students with disabilities using kindness, empathy, and compassion. She consistently emphasizes on what students can do rather than their challenges. Leslie has been an asset to the teams and staff members she has worked with. She cares for the whole student, academic, social, and emotional, and does her best to help her students reach their individual potential. In retirement, we hope Leslie is able to spend more time doing what she enjoys most: riding bikes with her husband, visiting her daughter and granddaughter in Seattle, cooking with her son, taking walks through the Botanic Gardens, and reading. Thank you for all that you've done for South. Don't go anywhere. All right. Sophie Vassos. All right, Sophie is a 29-year veteran physical education and health teacher at South. During her time at South, Sophie has dedicated herself to create opportunities for students to develop skills in maintaining healthy and active lifestyles. A great example of this is even here today, one of Thomas's physical education teachers, Kate Reno, who was part of Sophie's first classes. Sophie has created programs that value academic as well as athletic achievement. She's connected South with the community through her support and involvement with the local veterans and brought awareness to Veterans Day. Sophie holds a passion for coaching cross-country runners and volleyball players. She has organized and implemented several tournaments, such as the Sweetheart Tournament, for several years, which has provided students with the opportunity to shine and play the sports they love. Each year, students credit their success to Sophie's hard work and commitment. During retirement, Sophie plans on spending time with family and friends in sunny Florida, as well as playing golf and sleeping in late. Thank you for all you've done. All right, Jim Zimmerman. Here we go. Giddy up. Jim is a 31-year veteran 8th grade mathematics teacher at South. He has worked tirelessly to help students understand and be successful in math. Jim is empathetic to students' needs and arranges his schedules to meet students before and after school to support them. He has integrated music into instruction to help students remember concepts. Jim has a sense of humor and loves telling jokes. He enjoys asking everyone who would listen if they know how to spell chrysanthemum. 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 A little bit. Jim is well known for creating and running the popular ping pong club and has often been the announcer and scorekeeper for the boys and girls basketball teams. I give Jim credit for standing outside in all sorts of weather and staying positive as he coached South's track and field teams. We hope Jim enjoys his retirement by picking up the golf clubs now and again and traveling. Hopefully his honey-do list isn't too long. And we know that Jim is excited not to have to get up at 4:20 each morning to work out before school and be done with the Sunday scares and lunch duty. Thank you for everything you've done, Jim. I want to thank all these dedicated, hardworking people who've made a commitment to make society better by the work they've done. So thank you, guys.
All right. Thomas Middle School has two amazing retirees this year. Both are incredibly near and dear to my heart. Please welcome the best administrative assistant dream team one could wish for. Mary Higgins and Debbie Lange, will you join me up here, please? Right hand, left hand. Perfect. Come up over here. Perfect. Thank you. Each of these lovely ladies has served District 25 for the past 22 years in a variety of capacities. These two have focused their efforts on registering new students, creating student schedules, tracking down student attendance, writing bus passes and more bus passes, sharing messages with students, staff, and parents, and helping the administrators juggle all of the tasks it takes to run a building of over 1,000 people. These two ladies have worked diligently day in and day out with impeccable attention to detail and with genuine kindness in their hearts, all while getting interrupted at least 1,000 times a day. These two were often the first friendly faces to give you a warm welcome upon entering Thomas, and they are the sweet voices that have answered your phone calls. They are incredible problem solvers, and they are masterful at their crafts. Mary Higgins joined the Thomas team in the spring of 2020. She courageously came on board with us at that time, despite the fact that we were in a pandemic. There honestly could not have been a more difficult or stressful time to begin this role. However, Mary brought her expertise to our building, creating budgets, managing guest teachers, and more guest teachers, and more guest teachers, and streamlining many of our systems. Mary brings such a positive energy to our staff. She is a talented taskmaster. Her organizational skills and her fun-loving nature make her a joy to work with. We laugh all day long. We wish Mary all the best in her retirement, where she plans to spend time with her husband, Kevin, enjoying her grandchildren, 2-year-old Quinny, who's here tonight, and 3-day-old Will. Congratulations to Mary. Quinn's 2.5. All right. During the last 7 years of her career, Debbie Lange has led our office crew and trained each of the individuals that surrounded her, including the 3 members of the administrative team. The greatest thing about Debbie Lange is that you will never find her without a smile on her face. And there's no question she can't answer. Her wealth of knowledge is remarkable. She knows all things Thomas and much more. Debbie is the Be the Good staff member who embodies all the things that Thomas stands for. We will be forever grateful for all the ways that she has allowed us to lean on her. Her picture also hangs in the hallway as you exit the building. Debbie began her retirement last month, and she has been traveling and enjoying spending time with her husband, Paul, and friends. Tonight, I want to thank both of you for all that you have given to our school community. I also want to thank husbands, Paul and Kevin, and the Higgins and Lange families for sharing these 2 amazing women with us. Congratulations on your retirement.
Excellent. So Lynn's going to come and join me. I am pleased to recognize 2 outstanding individuals from Westgate this evening. Maureen Mendoza, who's one of our teaching assistants, was unable to be with us, but Lynn is here tonight. Lynn has been a dedicated employee of District 25 for many, many years, and an essential member of the Westgate community. Lynn was a proud Westgate parent before becoming Westgate's building support technician. As a BST, she has brought thoughtfulness and care to all she does. Along with keeping the technology humming, prior to the pandemic, she facilitated live morning announcements, empowering student leaders and helping our Wolverine community to start their day. Lynn is knowledgeable, proactive, incredibly proactive, and always willing to help. Her tireless effort behind the scenes has made our staff effective and me effective in my role. Lynn, we are so glad you have chosen to be part of the Westgate staff. Never forget the impact that you have had on the students and staff with whom you worked. Congratulations on your retirement, and please know that you will always have a home at Westgate.
You can bring. You good? All right. I'll start with Lisa. How's that? Lisa Smith has been a loyal District 25 employee for 25 years. In that time, she has worked in early childhood at Greenbrier and then in special education instructional program at Patton and Windsor. Lisa loves her students and is very patient, kind, and a caring teaching assistant. She goes above and beyond to meet all the individual students' needs and does it without hesitation. Lisa enjoys doing creative crafts with her students. Lisa has also volunteered with the after-school sewing club at Windsor. When not in school, Lisa enjoys spending time with her 2 sons and her granddaughter, Lily. Lisa and her husband, Bill, will be moving to Tennessee to be with family and also vacation at their cottage in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. We will miss you, and we wish you the best of luck in your retirement. One more. Marilyn Briggs has also been a loyal District 25 employee for 25 years. Marilyn has been at Windsor for all of those 25 years as a teaching assistant and then building support tech. Marilyn has spent many hours ensuring all students and staff have the proper technology available to them. Prior to the students having one-to-one devices, Marilyn would work on assessment schedules so that those computer cards would be ready when a grade level had needed to take their assessments. During those assessments, you would see Marilyn running around the building helping students access their assessments and successfully troubleshooting any problems that occurred. Marilyn has also been in charge of Windsor's morning announcements with our 5th graders. Every morning, you would find her in the LMC practicing and then recording the announcements. Marilyn and her husband look forward to spending time with family, traveling, and spending time in Galena fixing up their new condo. We will miss you both greatly.
Truly, congratulations to all our wonderful retirees. It was so nice when, as the board was walking around meeting with retirees and their families, it was good to learn that, okay, other than some folks who are leaving for Tennessee, I know they're going to come back and visit us. Otherwise, there's so many people who live close by and so many of you who live in Arlington Heights. So tonight is definitely not a goodbye at all to any of you. We hope to see you back. And I also hear, Dr. K, is this correct? A lot of folks are coming back to sub, which we really like to hear. And if you haven't considered it, I think Dr. K will give you extra chocolate today. Yeah, and chocolate cookies. But truly, your positive impact is immeasurable, and we wish you the very best on your retirement. You truly have made a huge impact to the kids in our community and to the families of our community as well. So thank you so very much from the bottom of our hearts.
Retirees, you don't need me to say this, but you're welcome to stay, but go home and have some fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your families.
To the rest of our guests, welcome to the board meeting. Feel free to scooch on over to the front. We're happy you're here. We'll move on to the board communications portion of our board meeting today with board member updates. Are there any updates from my colleagues? Any updates? Fifth grade?
Madam President,
Yes,
I
Liz.
was able to attend the 5th grade track meet at South Middle School, thrown by the gym teachers and the coaches, and it was an amazing opportunity for our 5th graders to get their feet on the ground at the middle school. So it was really wonderful to see.
Oh, that's awesome, Liz, that you could be there. Thanks for that update. So many exciting things happening at the end of the school year and throughout the year, but it's like they say, it's Maycember, right? Lots of stuff happening. Moving on, we have EdRed, Kevin and Stacy. Any reports? Kevin is our new liaison to EdRed, so thank you, Kevin, for jumping in. We have put you to work right away.
Thank you. So I have not had the opportunity yet to attend an EdRed meeting, but I will be attending my first one virtually tomorrow evening, where we'll be receiving an update on the end of the legislative session, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also registered to attend the the June regular meeting, where they'll be hosting State Superintendent Dr. Tony Standers, who will be sharing his goals for the agency and for the state after his first couple of months on the job. So looking forward to sharing more info at the next meeting about that.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Yeah, and definitely congratulations to former superintendent of U46, Elgin, who is now our Illinois State Board of Education superintendent. He is very busy. We see him everywhere, like as far as like he keeps us informed as to all the different buildings he's in and all the different activities. So Kevin, thank you for following up on EdRed with us and kind of jumping in to do that on behalf of the board. Next, an update for IASB, and we're really excited. We just heard this week, Greg is kind of heading up our team at District 25, and we are going to be presenting an actual, like last time we were presenting kind of a smaller session, but now we're big timers. We're moving on to present our success panel and presenting on the strategic plan at District 25. And so that will be happening in November. So thank you, Greg, for kind of leading that effort and kind of keeping us going so that we can successfully present and teach and learn at the November conference. And then moving on to NSSEO, I'd like to thank Liz Neerman, our new board member, who has jumped on to serve as the NSSEO board liaison on the board's behalf. For those of you who don't know, NSSEO, all of these committees and all these commitments that board members have, it's pretty spectacular how much dedication our board members have. NSSEO is like having a full-on board responsibility, like a different board, and they have meetings like ours as well on a monthly basis, correct? Yeah? And so Liz will be there, and thank you for jumping in to do that. We really appreciate it, Liz. And then Gina will be the alternate for that role. NSSEO had a really wonderful event this Saturday. It was called a Stroll and Roll, and it was a really great opportunity for board members to meet with the NSSEO community. It was a fantastic day. The weather was beautiful, and the students were there, the families were there, so it was really nice for board members to kind of get to meet the NSSEO community and again say hello to the new superintendent, Dr. Schneehurst, coming in, and of course spend a little bit more time with Dr. Judy Hackett, who's leaving. So it was just a fantastic event. That's it for board communications. We will now be moving on to community input, and I would like to welcome everybody who's here for community input and here to attend our board meetings. We always truly appreciate attendance, and I want to once again remind the audience that the opportunity to speak to the board is provided for members of the public who have a comment to make about the business of the board. The board appreciates hearing from stakeholders and values your thoughts and questions. As the board strives to make the best decisions for the district, public input can be helpful. In order for the board to reserve sufficient time to conduct its business and to operate its meetings in the spirit of civility and decorum, Speakers are expected to follow these guidelines. Number one, please address the board only at the time provided on the agenda and only after being recognized by the board president. Number two, identify yourself and be brief. Your comments must be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. The board may shorten this allowed time in order to conserve time to allow the maximum number of people the opportunity to speak. And please be respectful and courteous. And the board requests that you not make any statements that are personally disrespectful or condescending to members of the board and especially to our staff. The board typically does not respond to comments or attempts to answer questions during the public comment period, but we do listen intently and appreciate the input from our community. And at the bottom of the blue slips, like always, there's a spot to put your phone number and email, and if you do so, and your address, and if you do so, our superintendent will get in touch with you to follow up, okay? So the first speaker we have today is Ed Lipinski. Welcome, Ed.
Hi there.
Hello.
My name is Ed Lipinski, and I will be reading from the book The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This book is available to D25 students in their libraries and is promoted at school book fairs. The Coretta Scott King Award that this book received through the American Library Association to honor the wife of Martin Luther King is given for promoting peace, nonviolent social change, and brotherhood. What is it that this book conveys that makes the profanity and anti-police messages okay? Page 389. This some bullshit. Fuck. 7 croaks. He covers his eyes and rocks back and forth. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Fuck this. Star, whatever you want to do, I'm down. You want to burn some shit up? We'll burn some shit up. Give the word. Dude, are you crazy? Chris says. You don't get it, so shut up. Star, what do you want to do? Anything, everything. Scream, cry, puke. Hit somebody. Burn something. Throw something. They gave me this hate, and now I want to fuck everybody, even if I'm not sure how. I want to do something, I say. Protest, riot, I don't care. Riot? Chris echoes. Hell yeah. Page 393. King lords in gray bandanas and garden disciples in green bandanas stand on a police car in the middle of the street chanting, "Justice for Khalil." People gathered around the car record the scene with their phones and throw rocks at the windows. "Fuck that cop, bruh," a guy says, gripping a baseball bat. "Killed him over nothing." He slams a bat into the driver's side window, shattering the glass. It's on. The King Lords and GDs stomp out the front window, then somebody yells, "Flip that motherfucker." The gangbangers jump off. People line up on one side of the car. Somebody shouts, "Watch out." A Molotov cocktail sails towards the car. Then woof, it bursts into flames. The crowd cheers, a collective "fuck the police" thunders off Magnolia Avenue, probably loud enough to reach the heavens. A block away, people throw rocks and garbage cans at the windows of the McDonald's and the drugstore next to it. "Holy shit," Chris says. In no time, the building is in flames. "Hell yeah," says Devante. "Burn that bitch down." Glass shatters at the pawn shop on the next block. Then at the beauty supply store near it. Flames pour out both, and people cheer. A new battle cry starts up. The roof, the roof, the roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let that motherfucker burn. The original battle cry starts up again. Fuck the police, fuck the police. People hurl rocks and glass bottles at the cops. "Yo," Seven says, "stop throwing objects at law enforcement." The officer says, "Fuck the police, fuck the police." Devante continues to shout. "Vante, man, come on," says Seven. "I ain't scared of them. Fuck the police." Now, to me, such profanity and vile words dishonor the legacy of the Coretta Scott King Award, which it actually seeks to preserve. And I believe that we should be teaching our children to cherish, honor, and respect those who serve our community, especially the fine men and women of our police forces. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker we have tonight is William Boudreau. Welcome, William.
Thank you. Good to be here. So I looked at the agenda for this evening's meeting, and I noted that the bids have started to come in, and the 2 bids that have come in thus far for the construction total over $42 million. That's the base bid for just 4 schools. So you still have 2 more schools to go. When Ms. Malik sent me the estimate for what the total project would cost, the high end was $42,676. You're about $300 less than that. You still got 2 schools to go. And the base bid, as far as I interpret it, okay, does not include the design and consulting, which is the architect, the civil engineer, the construction manager, fixed general conditions insurance, et cetera, which added $10 million to a $32 million bid, total cost projection. So you're probably here at $42 million, give or take $12 million, you're not about $55 million. When the referendum was sold to the voters of Arlington Heights, it was basically sold to say that we can't have full-day kindergarten unless we do expansion. And when we do this expansion, we'd also like to have $34 million for our capital budget for the next 5 years. So if you take 75 million minus 34, you're at 41 million. You've only got four of the schools, of the 6 schools for which you want to do construction work on so far. So 55 million, just based on my reading of this, you got 20 million, 20 million. What's the next one going to be? 20 million. And this is supposed to be transparency. What I'd really like to see is, how about full disclosure? Because we don't have full disclosure. Because back in December, you were told that if you increase the classroom size by 2 students, you could use the existing facilities, okay, and have full-day kindergarten. So spending 50 to 60, maybe $75 million is unnecessary to have full-day kindergarten. In fact, what you do have is $60 million less whatever the expenses are, which I don't know, which I've asked to be answered in an email, okay? You ought to concentrate on fixing the schools that you have, okay, and using the facilities that you have, because what you also didn't tell us is that of the 23 or 24 classrooms that you wish to build, to expand all these schools, okay, you're not going to use any of them for kindergarten. Your demographer, okay, indicated there were going to be 476 kindergarten students in this year. There were 412. A couple of days ago, Tribune came out and said the last 2 years, Arlington Heights has lost about 2,200 residents. So we're not expanding. I don't know what you're going to do, but seriously, you people really need to stop, think, and go back to square one and rethink this whole issue. Because, well, I have one more thing to say.
Thank you.
There's not going to be any federal or state money coming down the pike. You're going to be asking more and more for the homeowners. Thank you.
Our next speaker, thank you, is Dave Pritchard. Welcome, Dave.
That's my birth name. That is the name I go by, but I have been given a lot of new names the last few years. Many of us have labels, I would call them. The first is domestic terrorist, and that comes from the Attorney General Merrick Garland. Christian nationalist, irredeemable deplorable, election denier, insurrectionist, and most recently, particularly from Springfield, were book banners. My pronouns are me, myself, and I, and educate, not indoctrinate. And my values are God, family, and country. I've been asked to speak very briefly tonight on behalf of a number of District 25 parents who maybe you'll never hear. They're part of the silent, we think, majority out in the district, who believe that coming to board meetings and addressing the board is simply not taken seriously. For example, in the past, parents asked the board for scientific research proving that masks are good for kids in schools, but they really never got any scientific answers. When parents were bringing valid concerns about the curriculum, they were advised to look for a private school or consider homeschooling. These are just a couple of examples. There seems to be a parallel life happening in D25 beyond all the happy talk and the self-adulation and self-praise that we see at all the board meetings. D25 is not only the recognition and the clapping that we see, it is also many families who pulled their kids from our schools. And this is not just D25, it's happening across the country, and I'm sure you've seen the statistics. Those families pay D25 high taxes, but are now additionally paying for private schools, or as I said, they're homeschooling. The reason they move their kids is not illegal masking or school closures, but unacceptable materials, obscene and racist books, as you've been hearing, and the push for this acronym that is held in high esteem called DEI, including social emotional learning, SEL, and also introducing kids to critical race theory. Again, not just D25, across the nation it's happening. You continue to focus on DEI as test scores fall, according to the Illinois State Board of Education, math and reading scores, but teachers are rated outstanding, often 90% plus, and many other current pressing matters are ignored. There seems to be no connection between pay for performance. You have sexually explicit books in your libraries and classrooms, as we've unveiled, and parents are alarmed, but you explain it as the kids' First Amendment rights to have access to all the books. Are there any limits to what materials you allow? The existence of school is not to promote sexual pleasure, but to prepare our kids to be successful adults, to have careers.
Thank you so much, sir.
And to be able to provide them for themselves. We're praying for all of you. We pray for you every day. And to the new members of the board, you have a chance to turn the board around.
Thank you, Dave.
And make a difference and get back to academics. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sandra. Welcome, Sandra.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I am reading a book today. It's called The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I'm reading from page 23. My parents have raised me to fear the police, just to be smart around them. They told me it's not smart to move while a cop has his back to you. Cahill does. He comes to his door. It's not smart to make a sudden move. Cahill does. He opens the driver's door. You okay, Star? Pow! 1. Cahill's body jerks. Blood splatters from his back. He holds onto the door to keep himself upright. Pow! 2. Cahill gasps. Pow! 3. Cahill looks at me stunned. He falls to the ground. On page 51. We have to investigate, Lisa, says a second voice, Uncle Carlos's mama's older brother. We want the truth as much as anyone. You mean y'all want to justify what that pig did, Daddy says. Investigate my ass. Maverick, don't make this something it's not, Uncle Carlos says. A 16-year-old black boy is dead because of a white cop killed him. What else could it be? Shh, Mama hisses. Keep it down. Star had the hardest time falling asleep. Uncle Carlos says something, but it's too low for me to hear. Inch closer. This isn't about black or white, he says. Bullshit, says Daddy, if this was out in Riverton Hills. Now we go to page 196, and I apologize for all of the profanity. I did not write this. He pounds the desk. Fuck, Daddy once told me there's a rage passed down to every black man from his ancestors, born the moment they couldn't stop the slave masters from hurting their families. Daddy also said there's nothing more dangerous than when that rage is activated. Let it out, son, Mr. Lewis tells him. Fuck them pigs, man, Tim says. Niggas tired of taking shit, Devante says, between heavy breaths, like Star said. They don't give a fuck about us, so we don't give a fuck. Burn this bitch down. Nah, I don't give a fuck about neither one of them bitches. Sorry about that. That's why I spoke very quickly. Wanted to get it out. Okay, so on one hand, the school puts great emphasis on the teachings of Martin Luther King, who I love, and many of us do, who disapproved of acts of violence. But on the other hand, the schools offer books that are likely to foster an environment of hatred and division, and conquer and divide. Whoever selected this book to be in District 25 libraries must have seen some value in it, and I understand that picturing dramatic circumstances such as killings and riots, and including strong racial commentaries and vulgar language, serves some purpose, but I wonder what is the right age group and what would the children feel after reading multiple passages that indicate violence is inevitable? Because we have a lot of violence already. Just read the Arlington Heights patch. There is so much violence, just here in our own neighborhoods.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, saying no child is forced to read such books since library books are optional
We
is
have-
not
well,
enough.
thank you so much.
We are
We'll move on
requesting
to
it
the
in
next
response
speaker
to the
now.
following question: how do you justify this book? Thank you, and have a
you
great
so much.
evening and a great summer.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Melissa. Welcome, Melissa.
Hello, Melissa Kerr speaking. I went to the District 214 Parent-Teacher Discipline Advisory and Behavior Interventions Council on Wednesday, May 10th, and they mentioned their two of their biggest issues are truancy and cheating on homework. Have you heard that? And are you making sure the elementary school students are prepared not to cheat on their homework and to attend classes? And also, I was looking at the treasurer's report. I saw the Bank of China, you have $24,236,379.63 in the Bank of China on the treasurer's report.
Okay, thank you, Melissa.
What do your kids think about that? You have so much money in that Bank of China.
Thanks, Melissa. You did ask a question, but your email is not on. So if you would like an answer, just be sure you include your email. But for the emails that we do have, we will respond back to the questions we've received tonight. Thank you for all the public comments. We will now move on to communication from district partners. And we will start with the PTA. Nicole, if you could join us. Welcome, Nicole.
Okay, good evening. Hello. The PTA is busy finishing up the school year with fun activities and celebrations. Field day, pardon my voice, that wasn't like that 5 minutes ago. Field day, 8th grade picnics at middle schools, teacher appreciation week, and more. I am always amazed by the dedication and effort each school's PTA puts forth to make each school year memorable. I would also like to thank the outgoing presidents for their service and collaboration. Lindsay Nugent, Meredith Silverman, Katie Taranda, Deanna Emilio, Megan Worthington, Brian Wolf, Suzanne Kraus, Shelby Gages, and Nikki Widener have all demonstrated dedication and commitment to their schools this year. In addition, the PTA would not be successful without volunteers. A big thank you to all of the volunteers who work tirelessly to make the events and programs happen for children and families. Finally, for the last 2 years, it has been my pleasure serving the Arlington Heights Council of PTAs as president. I have enjoyed collaborating with the AHC Executive Board and members, district administration, Board of Education members, PTA presidents, and families. It has been a memorable journey learning about our district, assisting PTA units, and planning events with PTA leadership across the region. I am passing the torch to our existing president-elect, Megan Worthington. I feel so fortunate to have worked with Megan as a partner this year. She has been a wonderful support to me and to our council. Her experience, love for children, and dedication to our community will help the Arlington Heights Council of PTAs continue to be a successful organization. I hope everyone finishes the year strong. We're almost there, and hope you all have a wonderful summer. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nicole. Thank you for your service, and it's been so great hearing this, the reports from you. And like I said to the teachers, this is not goodbye. We know where you live. So keep coming back, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have ABC 25, but we actually may not have a... No report tonight. No report tonight. We'll move on to Allison Berg. And it's great to live in the community as well, us board members. Of course, we all live here, and I saw Allison walking her beautiful dog yesterday in the neighborhood.
We
So
did.
good to see you at the board meeting 2 nights in a row.
I know, and I told you last night that I wasn't going to say anything, and here I am, ready to talk anyways. How do you like that?
Yeah.
But it is nice to see people out in the community. I walk by, there's 2 fields by my house, and I like do a little loop. It's so fun to like see all the kids, and they think it's like, celebrity sighting when their teacher watches their baseball game. Super fun. Anyways, good evening. Well, it is May, undoubtedly one of the craziest times of the year in the lives of teachers and parents. Schools have been busy having end-of-the-year festivities, spring flings, senior walks, 5th grade celebrations, 8th grade graduations, concerts, open houses, to name just a few of the things happening in May. In addition, teachers have been working feverishly to send home work, tidy classrooms, finish the projects in progress as the countdown to days left ticks by, all while keeping students who are very ready for summer busy and engaged. While May marks the end of the school year for students, teachers are already working on getting ready for next year. We are ordering supplies, making sure we have enough math manipulatives and grammar books, and already putting groups together for the fall so students can hit the ground running when they return in August. It has been a pleasure to provide a monthly update about all the awesomeness happening around the district this year. I will be back next year to continue the reports. It is one of the perks of my job. We are grateful to work in District 25 with the support of our administrators and our school board members. Congrats again to those teachers who are retiring, and the rest of us look forward to another collaborative and productive school year. So thank you and happy summer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Allison. Allison, I think that was a Freudian slip when you said jobs, because I feel like all teachers do many jobs. So you did not have to correct yourself. It is definitely plural. So thank you so much for everything you do. Okay, next we're going to move on to the consent agenda, which is an action item. Can I have a motion, please? And any of the board members can make a motion.
Madam President.
Yes, Greg.
I move that the Board of Education approve those items on the consent agenda as follows. A, personnel report and addendum to personnel report. B, treasurer's report. C, invoices. D, fixed asset disposal report. E, regular and closed session meeting minutes of May 9th, 2023.
Thanks so much, Greg. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. Lana, please could you call for a vote?
Scapalato?
Yes.
Jogi?
Yes.
Cherniglia?
Yes.
Michael? Neerman?
Yes.
Yeah. No, thank you. You guys are doing great. Okay, we'll move on to business and finance. This is an action item. Please, could I have a motion? Kevin, would you like to call the motion and practice that mic?
Oh, my mic worked this time.
Yeah,
Madam
yeah.
President, I move that the Board of Education approve the NSSEO budget resolution for the 2023-24 budget.
Okay, thank you so much for letting me put you on the spot. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. And this, and Doc, I've just promoted you. Ms. Malik, if you could provide us some additional information, if any.
So the information on this item was presented at the last board meeting. It's just important for the board members, specifically the new board members, to know this is approving the NSSEO budget as a participating member of the co-op, which they need all their participating members to approve their budget before their board can approve their budget. The actual costs associated with NSSEO's budget will be built into our final budget, which you will vote on at the September board meeting.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Are there any questions for Stacy? And again, this was already presented to us, so any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Alana, could you please call for a vote?
Jogi?
Yes.
Cerniglia?
Yes.
Michael? Neerman?
Yes.
Scapalato?
Yes.
Thank you, Lana. The next item is also an action item. Please could I have a motion?
Madam President,
Yes, Brian.
I move that the Board of Education award the 2023-2024 copy paper bid to Midland.
Thank you. A second, please.
Second.
Thanks, Kevin. Stacy, if you could please provide any further information.
Yes, because we buy paper in bulk and it exceeds a cost of $25,000, we are required legally to put it out to bid. Last year, and for the last couple of years when we put it out to bid, actually no paper companies would bid on it because paper prices were literally changing every couple of weeks due to the supply chain issues. So we were actually really excited to get 7 bidders on this, and we are recommending to go with the low bid. Midland has provided paper for the district in the past many, many years. It actually usually, the bid ends up typically going to Midland or Murnane. We do better sometimes on bidding out than even going with the state paper bid because these companies are local to us. So they don't have to go with a statewide bid cost that they put out because they're local. They can deliver less expensively than traveling halfway across the state. So we do typically always go out to bid to try to achieve the best pricing.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Any questions? Stacy, thanks for providing like a comparison of the other companies and always kind of, going with the fiscal responsibility, which is connected to our strategic plan and going with the lowest number always. So thank you, Stacy, for that. Lana, could you please call for a vote?
Cerniglia?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Neerman?
Yes.
Scapalato?
Yes.
Jogi?
Yes. The next item is also an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Madam President,
Yes, Greg.
I move that the Board of Education approve the Consolidated District Plan for fiscal year 2023-2024 as presented.
Thank you, Greg. A second?
Second.
Thanks, Liz. She beat you to it, Brian. Let's see. Do we have any information on this one?
This is
Stacy?
an annual document that we are required to draft and present to the board for approval before submitting it to the state, before we can start applying for any of our state and or federal grants for next year. The information in the background does tell you how we use the various grant funds. They are used in a way that's very specific to the type of funding that grant allows for, and we have continued to use the funds for each purpose in the same way every year. Title II is a professional development grant, so while we always use it for professional development, that would be the only one that the type of professional development we're doing would change year to year depending upon whether we have a curriculum adoption or what our needs are for staff upcoming that year. Title I is always used to fund interventionists at our schools that qualify for Title I funding. Title III is always used for our multi-language learners. Title IV is used for academic enrichment and student support, and then our IDEA and our DIA pre-K are both specific to special ed funding, and we pay for teacher assistants that we use to support classrooms out of those funds.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions? Seeing no questions, and the board has already read all the material beforehand, so we appreciate the report. Lana, please could you call for a vote?
Michael?
Yes.
Neerman?
Yes.
Scapalato?
Yes.
Jogi? Cerniglia?
Yes.
Thanks, Lana. The next item is also an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Madam President,
Yes, Greg.
I move that the Board of Education award a total of 20 contracts to various contractors for base bid number 1 and base bid number 2 in the total amount of $42,431,749, accepting and rejecting the alternates identified in the executive summary background information provided, and further to immediately assign the awarded contractor agreements to Nicholas & Associates, Inc. as construction manager.
Thank you so much, Greg. Please could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Liz. Hello, Ryan.
Hello.
Please provide the information on the construction bid awards.
Yes. Good evening. It's been a little bit of a long journey to get here, but we are here to award the bids for the first phase of the kindergarten expansion and also capital projects as well that are also included in this scope of work. The first thing I did want to go through is the phasing. Phase 1 of the project is tonight. That's what we're going to be discussing and awarding this evening. Is the base bid number 1 is for Dryden and Patton. So that scope contains, again, the kindergarten additions and some select scope related to the capital projects. Also included in there is the alternate for the Patton Gym, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then base bid 2, which is the expansion for Olive and Westgate. Again, Olive is primarily the expansion for kindergarten portion, whereas Westgate contains portions for major capital improvements in the existing building for the southern half of the building. So again, the board's already approved the northern half of the building to be improved with renovations at a previous bid, but this also does include major renovations to the southern half of the building next summer, as well as the kindergarten expansion that's necessary to support the full-day kindergarten program, as well as a gym expansion at the facility. Phase 2 will be Greenbrier and Windsor. We're anticipating that bid opening to be June 1st, which is next week. So we'll see what those bid numbers come back next week and present those at a future board meeting for Phase 2. Just want to provide a little bit of overview, a chart that is kind of tracking the industry for costs right now for new school construction. So not a direct correlation because we're not doing ground up standalone new school, but it's very similar. So we would want to be looking at this. As you can see where the budget item was, that's where we first kind of set our budget number for the board and for the referendum process. So we anticipated some increases throughout the process because of inflation and kind of the current markets. Do we anticipate that it would go up as much as it did? Probably not. So we tried to take that into account as best we could throughout the process. We knew there was going to be inflationary pressures on the bids coming in. And you can see kind of where we're at now. It's starting to level out and come down due to the Fed increases in interest rates. Naturally, the prices are starting to come down somewhat. So again, that's where we anticipated, where we saw the prices come in. So I wanted to go through that once we get into it, just to set a level about how much inflation did creep up throughout that process. Going into the bid results, the first one here is just a bid leveling analysis. So what we're trying to do here is not look at every little piece that we're doing. We're really looking at the core hard numbers for core construction. So really the main construction costs that we can tie together and how that looks overall. So again, the first column is the base bid. That is the base bid number that we received and you'll be reviewing tonight. And then in comparison to the board budget for the kindergarten additions, which we established in March of 2022, and then the capital budget was around December of 2022. So again, going through the base bids, they are comparable from the base bid column to the right column. So you can see the cost differentials. For the first one, the Dryden and Patton, we had a miss in the cost between the base bid and the budget. And some of that may be attributed to the stormwater provisions and the additional asphalt that we need to replace there. The addition, again, we didn't have scope creep in the number of classrooms or the expansion. So again, it could be attributed to numerous things on design with the site and the building that could have came through the detailed portions of that. The capital budgeted, we had $2.4 million, and again, we're just using the same number to carry over because that's what it is. Again, some of those cost overruns in that category may be attributed to the capital portion, but again, we don't have that specific breakout, just the way the bid drawings were put together. The bid drawings are all inclusive of the scope, and they're not specifically sheet by sheet broken out by capital or the addition scope. So a portion of that overrun may actually be in that 2.4 number where we had a miss on that side instead of just the construction cost. The Patton Gym as well, we had as an alternate. We'll be presenting that. That number came in at approximately $2.4 million. We'll go through that in a further slide. Going over to Olive and Westgate, we had budgeted $15.2 million for that one, and we came in under with that at 12.6. So we had a variance there where there was some savings. So overall, that's where the number starts tightening up. And then we had capital budgeted of $8.1 million. And again, primarily the major driver of that number, the larger 8.1 number, is the Westgate renovations, since it is such a large scope that we'll be renovating in the existing facility. So overall, the numbers that we're comparing tonight for direct construction costs, again, some of the other items that you'll see are allowances and alternates, the allowances primarily and some of the fees are outside of this number. So when we budgeted that, it was outside of this number. So we're trying to get an apples to apples direct number. Again, the 39.4 versus 36.7 does include the Patton Gym. So that's why the next line I took it out to give us a comparable of what the capital and addition scope budgeted was. So we budgeted 36.7 for this scope, and we came in at 36.9, which is a 0.74%, less than a 1% difference on that. Again, that was our higher end budget number, but again, we believe that with this number, with being 0.74, that we'll have some savings and allowances and some of those other things that we are still going to be awarding to bring down that overall number beyond the construction. So again, being where we were in the economy, I'm very happy with where those numbers came in, just being 0.74 off. Again, we would like to have been in that range, but again, just with inflationary pressures that were coming through, I think that's a reasonable number to be expecting for this scope of work. Going into the base bid summary, again, I just got to pull it up on mine because I can't read it that far. This is the more detailed one for base bid number 1. So this gets into details on the far left column is the actual bid package that we have. Each package has 10 bidders that came through for each scope of work. So again, 10 bid packages that are being awarded all the way from site work, masonry, general trades, carpeting, painting, all that is buried within these numbers, these 10 contractors that came in. The anticipated award amount includes all the alternates. So again, you don't need to add cross. The blue column is totaling all that up with the alternates and allowances included. So that's where we get that $20.1 million number. That's what we'll be awarding. Again, allowances are not given to the contractor unless they're necessary. So if there's something unforeseen in the field or something that we direct them to do that we weren't anticipating, then the contractor will be given those funds. Otherwise, any remaining allowance at the end is credited back to the district at the end of the project. We've typically been seeing about 10 to 25% of the allowance being returned. That's been from our past 5 projects, so between 10% and 25% of the allowance has been typical. So we'll, again, work on that to make sure we get that as high as possible to get the biggest credit back at the end of the scope of work. So again, I listed all the alternates that we're anticipating to award. Again, the Patton Gym, the Patton permeable pavers. Right now, we're anticipating that we will need to put those in with the project. We are in review with MWRD, so they may say that we do not need them based on stormwater calculations. And if we do not need them, we would get that again credited back to the district through the project funds. Right now, we're recommending to reject an alternate for GeoGrid. So this is to reinforce and support parking lots. We feel that we have enough allowance already built into the projects if we need that scope. So that was kind of a belt and suspenders type of coverage for parking lots. We're asking to reject that for now because if we do need it, we have enough allowance fund available through unsuitable soils and other allowances that we would take the funds out of there. So that's why we're recommending to reject that. The Dryden pavement replacement, this is for the south parking lot. We're recommending to go forward with it due to the cost where it came in. We'll be doing a number of utility tie-ins in the south parking lot at Dryden, where in the current scope we were proposing to patch the parking lot. Due to the age and condition and the amount of work that will be going on there, we're recommending for a full replacement, so that one we are recommending to go forward with. The Dryden stormwater storm tech system, we're actually looking to get a credit back because the system that was specified in the project is a concrete basin structure, and where it's located out in the grass area, this is a better area for a plastic system. So we put the 2 systems in the bid to make them competitive and see where the numbers came in, and the StormTech plastic arch chamber system came in significantly less, so our engineer is recommending to take that credit, so we'll be getting $125,000 back right off the bat. And then the final one is the Dryden heavy-duty fire lane. That's a typical requirement from the Village of Arlington Heights where their fire trucks have to pull up in case they have to set outriggers down or just their trucks in general are extremely heavy with the water and equipment. So we are recommending to go forward with that. If they don't need it, we'll take it back, but through the review process, we're anticipating that they will require that. The final column is the bond premiums. Those, again, are right now contained within the contractor's bid number. That's typical, but we will most likely have them return that credit back to us, be credited back to the district, and we'll have Nicholas carry the bond premiums for the project because it's significantly less than that amount. So that is why the bond premium's shown there. It is, again, included in the number right now, but once we award the projects, we will ask for that credit back. And again, that was on their bid form, so we know that number is a hard number that they have to get back. So breaking it down a little bit more, the $20.1 million number is all inclusive of the alternates and allowances. Again, I just backed out the other things to try to get us back down to a core number of the starting costs. So the starting cost for the kindergarten additions only is the $13.7 million number, once you back out all those items to give us a core root number. Similar on the base bid 2 projects, again, TED bid package that we're going to be awarding various contractors. Again, we've worked with a number of them before, and all the other ones we vetted out. There were a few contractors that were non-responsive to the bids, and again, our construction manager, Nicholas and Associates, as soon as we get the bids, goes and has scope reviews with them right away and goes in detail on the scope of the work that was required, in addition to what they asked for, some kind of ancillary items that they need for construction to coordinate and get the work done. So they go through that and determine who was responsive based on those reviews. So again, it's kind of the full detail scope, all the drawings, all the specifications, all the bid documents. They go through that and make sure that they're responsive and responding to the contractor. So there are a few that were non-responsive based on that review, and our recommendation is to allow them to withdraw, because if we don't, we will have to go after their bid bond, which becomes very pricey for both sides. So we're just going to be eating up some of that money to begin with. If we would have to go to their bid bond, we'd have to get lawyers involved, and so it's typical that we would allow them to withdraw their bid if they clearly miss something on the bid drawing that puts them at a disadvantage to the project. So again, we wouldn't let them withdraw if they were, all inclusive and things like that. They couldn't man up or have the staff available to do that. So we would look to, again, allow them to withdraw their bids and recommend the contractors that we recommended. The alternates on this scope is a little bit smaller, so we're looking to do the South Data Center air handler replacement. Right now that unit is serving the data center at South, which services a large portion of our district for data and telephone. So we're looking to get that unit replaced. We had money budgeted for that in this year, so we, again, were able to work that into this package. And then the Westgate permeable paver, similar to before, we're recommending to award that for now. And if the MWRD requires us to, or can allow us to withdraw it, then we'll ask for that credit back. Again, similar with the GeoGrid, we're asking to reject that right now because we will have enough allowance if we run into that situation where that's required, or they may be able to engineer a different way to supplement the GeoGrid. So again, we're recommending to reject that for now. Again, with the bond premiums, same type of scope where we'll ask for that money back in a credit, the exact amounts that are outlined. And again, going through the total project award is 22.2, and once we level out to just the kindergarten edition portions, it's $12.6 million. For the Patton Gym, again, as we discussed, this was brought up a little bit further along in the process where we discovered that we were likely going to need an increase in PE hours, and the gym at Patton likely will need to be expanded. So again, the floor plan is on the right side where we're, again, expanding out to the southwest of the school to add another bay to the gym to allow 2 sections to be run in that area at the same time. We had this again as an alternate, so the numbers are very clear. The number is $2.49 million for this scope. That includes a transformer relocation and the stormwater requirements that are necessary for that scope of work. So we're really recommending that at this time. We think with the scope of work that we have included, that it's advantageous for the district to make that decision to do this now while we have other things going on. We spoke with our construction manager. We believe the cost would be 10 to 20% more if we did that, a year after as a standalone kind of project. So we feel that that number is a very good number to work with. And beyond just the core standalone project increase, there's still inflation, so there could be another portion on top of that. So again, that 10 to 20% we're looking to include just the re-site mobilization, and then again, just the inflationary pressures would contain that as well. So we feel that that number would be inflated 10 to 20% if we'd look to do it on its own in a future year. And again, depending how far that goes out, we'd have to relook at that number as well. So again, we're looking to recommend the Patton Gym expansion be completed as a part of this scope of work. Just want a quick, I think we touched base on all the alternates, so if there's any questions, I can go back to this. I kind of gave the narrative on why we're accepting and rejecting all the alternates for both the scopes of work. And then allowances as well. Here's a summary of all the allowances. So we do have a healthy allowance built into these projects. We do have a generator allowance for 2 of the sites because of where the combat transformer currently is. We may have to temporarily relocate this and run the building off a generator. We did this at Windsor School for an extended period of time. So we're looking to have that allowance just in case we need it, depending on sequencing and when the transformer comes in and when it needs to be relocated. That again would be cost for running a generator, maintaining it, fuel, kind of that kind of stuff for temporary measures for generators. And then finally, the allowances for base bid 2, very similar in the overall total. The undercut allowance comes down a little bit because of the scope of work, and then the generator allowance for Westgate is slightly lower because we're anticipating there'll be less period of time that will be run for. In summary, again, I do have all the bid tabulations behind it if there's specific questions, but I'm open to any questions you may have regarding the first kindergarten edition.
If I could jump in for a moment and piggyback a little bit on the Patton Gym alternate that Ryan went through, a reminder to the board, the reason that we are recommending moving forward with the Patton Gym is because state law used to allow us a waiver to have 2 periods or 2 sessions of PE a week at the elementary level. We've applied for and received that waiver for a couple of decades in agreement with us providing some extra recess time. That waiver no longer exists. We cannot apply for it. It cannot be granted. We must, moving forward, we must have 3 sessions of PE for all of our elementary grades, kindergarten when that becomes full-time, and then 1st through 5th grade. And so in order to do that, to add a 3rd more PE across our elementary schools, we need more than 1 bay of a gym because you'll have more than 1 class having PE at the same time. All of our other elementary schools except Greenbrier have had significant gym expansions as a part of those construction projects. Greenbrier has a small enough enrollment that even with the increased number of PE sections, we can hold that in the current structure at Greenbrier and provide for the PE needs for our early childhood kids. At Patton, as Ryan said, to do the gym expansion, now is the right time financially, the best time to do that. If we did not do a PE expansion at Patton, students at that school would have times during the week when they would have to have their PE either by having a smaller PE program in the commons area or more likely having some smaller PE activities within their classrooms. Again, weather permitting, a class could be outside, a class could be in the gym. Weather not permitting, we'd be doing some of that PE most likely in their classrooms and having to significantly alternate, or I said significantly change the PE program that we'd be offering at that one school. So that's why we have added Patton as an alternate. It is appropriate to expand that gym so that they can have an equitable physical education program along with all the other kindergarten through 5th graders throughout the building. And Stacy, if you don't mind me asking you to jump in a little bit, we've been looking at, so the Patton Gym was not part of our referendum funds. So Stacy's been looking at where does that money come from that she'd like to share a little bit with you now.
So even irregardless of before we knew when the budgets came in and whether or not, you know, with the range that we had looked at, Patton Gym might have fit in the referendum funds, but it wasn't automatically built into that range. So this year, Ryan has written for some of our capital projects that were anticipated out of referendum funds to be paid for out of a state grant, which we haven't heard on yet, but we wrote for $100,000 out of that grant. He just submitted last week for the COPS grant, it's a federal grant, to fund all of the new door locking systems that were part of the referendum funds throughout all the schools, as well as some of the security cameras and intercom radio replacements. We submitted that grant last week for $522,000 from the federal government. We had anticipated redoing the cafeteria tables at South and Thomas middle schools out of referendum money, but with the influx of National School Lunch Program funds that we got in that last year in the years of the pandemic, we pulled $200,000 from federal National School Lunch money to cover the cost of those tables, so those won't come out of the referendum dollars. We've earned $548,000 to date on our bond proceeds. So selling the 60 million in bonds, and then based on our spend down plan and with interest rates really growing significantly over the last year, Our investment company through our treasurer's office anticipates overall we'll earn about $2.9 million total on the referendum bond proceeds. So in terms of covering the Pat and Jim, I feel safe letting the board know there's other resources that won't cause us to need above and beyond from the community with some of the other dollars that, and again, we'll continue to work, and every grant we find we'll write for. And the ones that we've written for to date, we don't know yet, but I do believe we have other sources and some, whatever monies are left from the projects. Some of the projects we had anticipated this year were either deferring, and they're part of this, because it just made more sense due to the economies of scale when you're doing a larger project. So whatever funds we don't spend this year will also be then available to help support this whole capital program.
Thank you. Other questions from the board for Ryan?
Madam President.
Yes, Brian.
Could be either of you answering this one. I'm struggling with the allowances. So pick a bid. They're about the same amount. In fact, they are the same amount. Can you give us a little bit more detail on that? So we're subtracting $900,000 from base bid 1 for allowances. Most of the allowances in our packet are described as unforeseen conditions. Not real comfortable with that, to be honest with you. Not real comfortable with the dollar amount. Not real comfortable with why we're subtracting it from a budget that's already almost 1% over. So help me out.
Yeah, again, we're just subtracting out for bid leveling purposes, just to show our numbers, because during our budget presentation, the allowances were carried above the line. We didn't carry allowances on every single line item through the budgetary process. We carried just the direct construction below the line. So above the line, we carried an allowance. We just said 10% of the overall total project. So we're not backing them out at this point in time. What do you need? What slide?
Ask who's doing the, with the slide. Yeah, can you go to slide, base bid 1, sorry, go to slide 8 where you show the points. Yes. So what we wanted to make sure that we showed the board was the far right column are the numbers that were presented through all the referendum presentations, whether it was so for instance, that first line, if you looked at the presentation from the committee, the whole kindergarten meeting that we based our budget on, that $10,847,000, that was what was our high-end budget in the referendum for Dryden and Patton. What Ryan's referring to in terms of allowances, when we did that presentation, there was above the line of all the construction, there was a line called contingencies. That's where he built those allowances in. They weren't part of the physical capital budget. So when we say we're subtracting them out, we're only subtracting them out to get to the base bid $13,714,000 number to show you how that compares to what we presented all along for just the construction of Dryden and Patton, because the numbers were in different places.
Thank you. So are we saying the allowances could be costs on top of what we have budgeted?
No. So when we presented a range of 32 million to 42 million for the referendum, for the kindergarten additions, we based the 75 million of the referendum on the $42 million high end for construction. When we presented that number, it was broken down, so we say above the line, was all the bond costs, construction manager costs, and contingencies or allowances. We use the word contingency, they use the word allowances. It was like 3-point-something million in allowances. Then below the line was strictly actual construction estimates for the building. So if you added the Dryden number and the Pat number together, it came out to $10,847,000. So when these bids you're awarding tonight include the construction and the allowances or contingency and the bonds, it includes a lot more than just the construction. So when we say we're deducting them, we're only deducting them to get to numbers you can compare apple to apple, to show you that the bids came in within 0.74% of where we said all along they were going to come in.
So Stacy, then, worst case scenario, this money's already built in that cost. Better case scenario, we're going to be getting these allowances back, lessening the cost.
So yes, the number that the board is awarding, again, for base bid 1 is the $20.1 million. The reason we do allowances is to give us the authority. Otherwise, every time a change would happen, we'd be calling a board meeting. Because every time a change would happen, if it would go above and beyond what you authorize, so if we didn't include allowances, every time would be a change order to the contract. And every time we'd need to do that, we'd be coming back to you, and we would need it urgently, right? So we'd be calling meetings all the time to get that built in. So that's what that is giving us some authority to go and run the projects, use our best judgment on when they're needed, based on our professionalism, and talk with our architect and engineer and the contractors, and giving us that authority. Again, if we were to go over this $20.1 million, which we've never done, we would have to come back to you and get authority to go above that, right? If we run down all our allowances, and we run out of money, we're coming back to you and talking to you and letting you know that, hey, something went majorly wrong that we're not anticipating.
So the board is approving right now the highest amount. It's more likely we're going to get some of this, much of this money back, or some of this money back.
Correct.
Yeah, so again, day 1, we will be getting again, we're getting the $182,000 back. We'll have a little bit of an add back into that for Nicholas's cost in the bonds, but again, it's a significant savings. So the first document that we get from Nicholas with the cost of the project, we're going to see a credit back to the job right away, like day 1. That'll be our first thing back. We'll see a net difference between the bond premium costs that the contractors were going to charge us versus what Nicholas charges us, because they can get a better rate by blending it all together. So we're going to be starting off with even more, again, than we show right now, just based on the bond proceeds or the bond costs that are covered by Nicholas.
Okay, any other questions?
Madam President?
Yes, Greg.
First, I want to thank Brian for bringing up that question and that discussion. That brought a lot of clarity to it, so thank you. And so, Ryan, can you remind me, I believe you said, but do you anticipate there's 2 alternates that include the permeable pavers? Are you anticipating we would do that, or not unsure at this point?
We're not sure yet. Those are in the early phases of MWRD review. So our engineer believes we should be able to remove them out of the project, but MWRD, it's a day-by-day kind of basis how they look at the calculations and how they interpret certain things on the site that already exist. So we'll see when that comes through the process.
And so if I mean, the discussion about those is all about managing water.
Correct.
So is there any benefit to the surrounding, beyond our needs and permitting requirements, is there any benefit to the surrounding neighborhoods if those were in place? Could you speculate on that?
It's minimal. The reason it is, the permeable pavers, they're called volume controls, so they're meant to take the first inch of rain within an hour.
Okay.
So it's trying to be like natural grass as much as possible to absorb into the ground.
Yeah.
So after that, the water is still going to flow into our storm trap system and storm tech. So it's very minimal, if anything, that it's going to provide a benefit to the neighborhood.
What I hear you saying is it's still part of our system of water management,
Correct.
not really external
Correct.
to the property. Okay, thank you. And I think you highlighted, so in those charts, if that alternate is, if we don't need it, then that amount would get credited back to the district that you highlighted
Correct,
in the chart?
and I think this one is what, 94,500 approximately, and then 173. So yeah, there's a significant amount of money that would come back if that's not needed. Again, I wouldn't bank on that yet at this point, but there's a possibility that it would come back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Madam President?
Yes, Kevin.
Ryan, a question about the rejection of the GeoGrid. I understood that you were saying that at this time you think we can find funds for it from another place. Can you clarify where those funds would come from?
Yeah, so in the base bid packages, bid package 1 on both of them, we have an unsuitable soils allowance, and that's specifically what it's for, right? So we do cores and do the best we can to engineer the soils before we get out there. But once you start digging and get down further in different areas of the site, if they're away from where you did the core sample, it can be completely different. So that's why we would take that money out of the unsuitable soils allowance, because that's essentially what we'd be addressing in a parking lot, is if we open it up and get down, it's called a proof roll, where we drive a really heavy truck on the soil once we get down to base, and then we see if it sinks in. That's essentially the test. And if it sinks in, then we have to look at engineering the soils differently, and that's where the GeoGrid may come into play, and we would take that out of the allowance. The alternate is sometimes they can engineer it with stone, where you don't need the GeoGrid, so they can civil engineer the heck out of it and work with a stone system instead of the GeoGrid. So there are alternates that may come up where we may not, most likely will not need that as extensive as we were anticipating or had in the bids.
That's microphone, okay. And then this question might be more for Dr. Vine, but we were talking about the proposal for the additional gym at Patton. Are there any buildings where we anticipate needing additional sections of either art or music beyond what we currently have? And if so, do we have the classroom space to accommodate them? And if not, do any of our new planned constructed classrooms have the flexibility to perhaps serve as a suitable second classroom for music or art classes?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. And the simple answer is no. It's only the PE section requirement that we are not currently meeting. So will not be adding additional sections of music or art except at the kindergarten level as they go from half-time to full-time, and we do have the flexibility of space for those.
Madam President?
Yes,
I'm
Greg.
Sorry to jump in. I did want to finish just with another, thank you, Dr. Vine, for explaining beyond the construction piece with the Patton Gym, the curricular piece, and just highlighting for us, the importance of, we want equity across our schools. Not every school will be equal, but everyone should be able to learn and grow as they need. And so thank you for bringing this proposal forward and explaining it. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Any other questions? Thank you, Ryan, and thank you to the board members for asking really good questions. So we can, so that we can all have clarity and bring clarity to this whole project. So thanks so much, Ryan. And we do need a vote, right? Yeah. So Ryan's like, no, don't just say thank you. I need a vote. Lana, could you please call for a vote?
Neerman?
Yes.
Scapalato?
Yes.
Jogi?
Yes.
Cerniglia?
A reluctant yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Lana. We hope the dollars do come back, like you were saying, Ryan. So thank you so much. We will now move on to the Superintendent report. Dr. Vine, please review any Freedom of Information Act items with us.
So as the board can see, we only have had one request since the last meeting, and a response was provided on May 16th.
Excellent, thank you. We now, we're glad, that we have a second community input this time. Last time we were not able to accommodate that. So as time permits, sometimes we have to kind of shift things around on the agenda. But this time we do have a second community input. And do we have any, and no public comments this time. Melissa.
Hello, Melissa Kerr speaking. So you take property tax money and you invest it in the Bank of China, a communist country?
So thanks, Melissa, for that question. Okay, and now we will go on to the future agenda items. Dr. Vine, if you could just go over those.
Sure. So there is a special meeting of the Board of Education that has been scheduled for Monday, June 5th. That is a start time of 5:30. That notice has been given to the public and is on our website. That special meeting has one topic, and that's to interview search firms for the superintendent search. So again, June 5th is a Monday. That's a 5:30 start time at the Dunton Administration Center. Also, we'll be reviewing the spring student assessment data on June 13th, our next regular meeting. We don't have the state assessment data yet from the state. That comes out in the fall, but we do have our own local MAP assessment data, so we'll be sharing that with the board. We are planning for a ruler update presentation in the fall, August or September. We need to reconnect on looking for a date where we can have a combined board meeting with the Arlington Heights Park District Board. And then we will be presenting some information on our gifted education program in the fall at the start of the new school year. And also we have a special closed session meeting for board development on August 29th. I can't believe that's I don't remember the day of the week that is. I think it's a Tuesday night. So that, again, a closed session meeting for board development. There will be a representative of the State School Board Association there at that meeting.
Thank you, Lori. We're kind of looking out into the future. We're already talking about the next school year. Time is definitely flying by. Are there any topics that the board members would like to bring up that have been previously discussed with Dr. Bine at this point? Okay, seeing none, we will move forward to ending and adjourning our board meeting. The board will not go back into closed session today. Do we have a motion to adjourn the board meeting? Nobody wants to get back out to the warm weather.
So moved, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. Greg, a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. Lana, could you please call the roll?
Neerman,
Yes.
Scapalato,
Yes.
Jogi,
Yes.
Cerniglia,
Yes.
Michael.
Okay, and all in favor to adjourn? We just did that? Yes, we did that. Okay, I do want to go home too, you're right. Thank you all for coming and good evening.